US President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on all car and light truck imports into the country. It's due to come into effect on April 2nd. Economists and world leaders are warning that it will be a tax on consumers and have a chilling effect on the global economy.
You have prices that are going to go up. And how do you deal with that? And there's really no short-term solutions. I think you've probably heard many people say the supply chain is very interconnected. And I think that's a really structural issue that the automakers will have to figure out.
From the automaker, Ford losing about 4.25% right now after it cut its top end of its full-year earnings forecast.
The world watched in awe as China transformed itself into the automotive powerhouse of the 21st century. What began as a modest manufacturing hub has exploded into the world's largest auto exporter, flooding global markets with vehicles priced at an astonishing $9,200 in US currency. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck. This is capitalism with Chinese characteristics. The objective is building a world powerhouse auto industry. The strategy worked brilliantly. Chinese vehicles now roll off ships in record numbers, threatening established players across 5 continents. European luxury brands trembled. Japanese efficiency experts panicked. American giants scrambled for answers. But few anticipated how quickly this simmering tension would boil over into something far more dangerous. Can the world keep up with China's rapid ascent? The answer, it seems, is not through competition, but through confrontation. The trade war is no longer just a threat. It is a storm that has unleashed economic chaos across every major industry on Earth. What began as diplomatic posturing has morphed into economic warfare, with tariffs slicing through global supply chains like a hot knife through butter. Stock markets globally have approached 20% crash thresholds within days of the first tariff implementation.
Well, stocks tumbled for a second day as financial markets suffer the biggest 2-day drop since the pandemic.
The Dow Jones Industrials fell more than 2,200 points, erasing more than a year of stock market gains.
The financial damage is spreading faster than even the most pessimistic economists predicted, and we're still in the opening act of this economic tragedy. Has the global economy passed the point of no return? With each passing day, with each new retaliatory measure, the answer inches closer to a devastating yes. Every foreign car, every foreign truck, every foreign-made part crossing American borders is now subject to a brutal 25% tariff. No exceptions, no delays, no mercy. The policy, implemented on April 3, 2025, sent shockwaves through global markets. Then came the stunning reversal that only deepened the chaos. The Trump administration announced partial tariff relief on April 29th, exempting steel and aluminum tariffs for automakers while modifying parts tariffs retroactively.
We'll be imposing tariffs on steel imports and tariffs on aluminum imports.
This policy whiplash reveals not just protectionism, but profound volatility at the highest levels of government. The damage is already done. U.S. light vehicle sales are projected to plummet from 16 million to between 14.5 and 15 million annually due to these tariffs. That's not a dip, that's a collapse. Ford warns vehicle prices could rise by thousands. Tesla, the darling of American innovation, begs for tariff relief as its supply chains splinter. Even with partial exemptions, the damage continues to spread. Economists have universally condemned these tariffs as recessionary, with markets approaching technical crash thresholds. Can American auto giants survive, or will this policy backfire catastrophically? The early evidence points to the latter. The May 3rd deadline for 25% auto parts tariffs looms like a guillotine over an industry already bleeding from 1,000 cuts. Mexico, the largest exporter of vehicles and parts into the United States, now faces an existential crisis.
So supply and demand, the price of parts is going to rise, so that affects our profit margin.
And if Barbie's price goes up, your pockets will feel it as well.
So our customers are paying more, so I think it is going to be a tough transition. But
its economic growth forecast has been slashed to 0.2%, the lowest in decades, as auto exports collapse under the weight of American tariffs. The human toll is staggering. NAFTA-era manufacturing towns face unemployment rates exceeding 30% as assembly plants shut down operations. Communities built entirely around automotive manufacturing now face ruin. Families who climbed into the middle class through decades of factory work now stand at the precipice of poverty. Will Mexico's lifeline to the U.S. market break entirely? The economic data suggests it's already happening. What took decades to build has unraveled in weeks. Our northern neighbor feels betrayed by its closest trading partner. Canadian officials have slammed Washington's actions as reckless and destabilizing, warning of permanent damage to the trade relationship between historic allies. Factories in Ontario are slowing production. Steelworkers in Alberta face layoffs. The integrated North American supply chain is being torn apart at the seams. USMCA nations face conflicting pressures. Mexico and Canada desperately seek tariff relief, while the US doubles down on protectionism. This reveals deep structural flaws in integrated trade systems built over generations. Will US-Canada relations ever recover from this rift? The diplomatic language grows harsher by the day, suggesting wounds that may never fully heal. Europe grapples with the 25% tariff on car exports to the US, shaking vital industries in Germany, France, and Italy. Porsche has slashed its annual earnings forecast. Mercedes-Benz warns of unprecedented turbulence. The euro has surged to all-time highs, making exports even pricier, a double blow to manufacturers already reeling from tariff impacts. The continent's prized automotive sector faces an existential threat. These aren't just companies, they're cultural institutions, symbols of European engineering excellence now fighting for survival. The twin punch of tariffs and currency shifts threatens to knock out even the most resilient luxury brands. Will Europe's automotive crown jewels survive this onslaught? The question haunts boardrooms from Stuttgart to Milan. As traditional auto markets crumble, the battle for the future of transportation intensifies. Brussels threatens massive tariffs on Chinese EVs. Beijing retaliates by targeting European luxury exports. What should be a collaborative global transition to cleaner transportation has devolved into yet another front in an expanding trade war. A fragile compromise that could yet collapse under political pressure leaves the future of green technology hanging in the balance. Innovation itself becomes collateral damage as protectionism trumps progress. Will green technology become a casualty in the trade wars? The early signs point to yes, as short-term nationalism overwhelms long-term environmental imperatives. Japan's automakers stand to lose over $25 billion this year alone. Mazda's profits could plunge by nearly 60%. Nissan faces a 56% cut. Decades of carefully built market share evaporate with each passing day. South Korea's situation is equally dire. With 49% of Korean auto exports destined for US markets, the impact has been swift and brutal. Exports to the US have already fallen by 7% in just 3 weeks of tariffs. S&P Global Mobility analysts warn the MHCV sector's recovery could stall due to parts tariffs, revealing hidden vulnerabilities in commercial vehicle supply chains. Can Asian precision manufacturing withstand this shock? The numbers suggest a reckoning is underway, with no easy path forward. The average price of a new car in the United States could rise by $8,000, according to industry projections.
Instead of paying down principal balances.
Combine that high interest rate with the average cost of a new automobile, nearly $48,000. And those monthly payments are increasingly topping $1,000. Some customers taking longer to pay off their cars.
Insurance premiums climb. Auto loans tighten. The ripple effects touch everyone from factory workers to suburban families. Split-screen images tell the story. Empty factory floors in Mexico contrasted with stock market crash charts in the US. The human cost and abstract financial disaster unfold simultaneously. Two sides of the same catastrophic coin. Mass layoffs loom as entire communities braced around automotive exports face factory shutdowns. NAFTA-era towns in Mexico and industrial belts in Europe risk unprecedented unemployment. Civil unrest grows as workers and families face financial ruin. Is this the end of the global manufacturing engine? The evidence suggests we're witnessing not just a temporary disruption, but a fundamental restructuring of how the world builds and sells vehicles. The world stands at a precipice, facing a choice between cooperation and further confrontation. This trade war is only just beginning, but its consequences already echo through every major economy. Entire regions risk becoming economically obsolete if a global deal is not reached. Nations impose tariffs to protect their industries, but have simultaneously undermined their own markets and allies. The push for domestic production has driven up domestic consumer prices, hurting the very citizens these policies claim to protect. This tragic irony intensifies resentment and escalates tensions among trading partners. Will reason prevail, or will the fires of protectionism continue to spread? The fate of millions of workers, thousands of companies, and the global economic order itself hangs in the balance. The clock is ticking and the world is watching.